So I've spoken about the relationship with one's self. That if you don't have a sincere relationship with yourself, then you can't have a sincere relationship with others. And we've heard, if you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else, which I do think is true. But again, what do we mean by the word love? How do we define that? And if you don't know your truth, right, then you won't be able to understand the deception that's out in the world. Okay, the resources that we have within are the keys to unlocking or understanding, so to speak, this world that we live in, and how we express and exchange and interact with the world on a psychic, spiritual, emotional level, I would say, so to speak. So again, this is what I want to say, when you have self-respect, you can respect others. Now, what does self-respect mean? Right? It's an honor in a way, it's a respect, it's a reverence for, and if you have a reverence for yourself, then you can have a reverence for others, but again, not their inauthentic self, but the authentic self, the true self, right? The spirit and the soul. In a way that you have a reverence for, that you have a respect for, that you have a high regard for, that you seem to. I just did a video now, and a massive point just came to me that I left out. Anyways, what can you do? So yeah. Reverence, self-respect. Okay, and so I'm drawing a blank here. I think when you have good intentions for yourself and you have a concern for your well-being, then you can only and genuinely care, good intentions for somebody else and for their true well-being. And what I realized is that even with all of this at the same time, like once one has as a level of self-respect, has a healthy relationship with oneself, has a sincere connection relationship with oneself, knows who they are to a certain degree, knows what they're doing here, trying to bring a value into the world, a unique value that only you can bring. Each one of us can bring a value, but it's a unique, exceptional, specific type of exclusive value that we all can bring to the world. Again, whether it's through our talents, skills, thoughts, ideas, creativities, whatever it might be, just our soul being, expressing that into the world, manifesting that into the world, adds a value into this world. Okay? And so even when one has a relationship with themselves, which is true, okay, which is authentic, then you're still engaging with others that are not on the same level. In other words, you're still dealing with people that are in Plato's cave. Okay, in Plato's cave, we need to really understand what that means, people in Plato's cave. And I've spoken about this many times before. But because this is what I want to talk about is in regards to self-respect. Majority of people's relationships that live in Plato's cave, and let's be frank, folks, you don't live in Plato's cave anymore. Well, it's not being humble or to say that I am and that I'm like the same like everybody and we're all equal. We all are, but it's just you've got no foundation to work from if that's what you're thinking. There is a massive difference, and no life is more valuable than the other, and doesn't give you the right to control. But you see, even if you've left Plato's cave, then you don't have desire to control and manipulate others and be deceiving and be inauthentic to others. You just don't. It's just not in your nature. Being in Plato's cave is where you're coming from the survival self, where you're coming from the primate self, the carnal self, the impressed upon self, the inauthentic self, the darker side of your nature or something like that, your inauthentic drive, whereby you're not connected with your spirit, and you divided from who you are, and therefore that's why you're in Plato's cave. That's why you're in Plato's cave. That's why you haven't left Plato's cave, because you are removed from your spirit, from your truth. If you knew what your truth is, that you wouldn't be in Plato's cave anymore. You would have figured it out. You would have seen the deception that's purposely there of the matrix, and you would have left. Not physically. You can't physically leave it. It's a mental freeing of your mind. You would have left, because you can see that, okay, I can't be in this matrix. I can't believe in the propaganda. I can't believe in the media. I can't be entertained by what's going on. I can't believe, you just will not subscribe to it whatsoever, right? And you would just have freed yourself from it. Realize that it's a trap, and you would have freed yourself from it, because in your own being would have rejected it anyways. So for those that, now there are some people that are still in the matrix, that are still out of the matrix, and it's a bit, it's also a bit of a gray area, right? I mean, I know a family member of mine, I've definitely seen her over the years, has kind of exited the matrix in a big way, right? And there are different levels of when you are outside of Plato's cave, and I think she is outside of Plato's cave. I think she is, but I think at the same time she doesn't realize she's outside of Plato's cave. She doesn't realize that there's a cave. She doesn't realize that there's a matrix. She doesn't realize that people are unconscious, that they're asleep. She doesn't realize it. She still assumes that she's just like everybody else, but she can just feel deeper, and she can be more honest. I mean, she struggles. She struggles with the people in her life to have authentic relationships. She struggles with her husband because she feels that her husband is very regressed, and it's a very silly relationship a lot of the time. And so she has to come down to that silly kind of relationship. That's what I wanted to get into. For most of us, I'm sure 99% of us, with people in our lives, we feel that we need to engage on the level of their maturity, right? On the level of understanding, but I mean, of this maturity, right? And that's why it comes in with self-respect. That sometimes you got to drop yourself. You got to drop yourself to that level of, if you have a boss, not to be an ass kisser, but you just know your place in the business. You don't speak out or whatever it is. There's parts of us where we got to sell ourselves slightly, but not completely, because when we start doing it, like my friend, who didn't want to wear a mask at his restaurant, he's a chef, and he said, look, I refuse to wear it the whole day. It makes me uncomfortable, and it's tough luck, and they fired him. But that's his level of self-respect, right? And he understands, that he's in tune not with the fear of the matrix, like, oh shit, how am I going to pay my rent now? He trusts that the universe will make a plan for him and will open another door for him. So he doesn't live like that. That's how the matrix people live. They don't live with that, God will make a plan, another door will open. So for himself, he had that level of self-respect, right? He said, I will not do that. And so for many of us, we don't want to be inauthentic. We want to be real. We want to be mature. We want to be responsible. We want to talk our truth. We want to, live a lot of the time. But again, the relationships that we are in for a lot of the time are very compromising when it comes to this. Very, very compromising. And it's very defeating. It's very, very defeating. Because again, so much of what's important to you and what you strive for and what is sacred to you is not understood by the other individual. The way that you feel life, the way that you experience life on a very high level, they're not experiencing it the same way. If you see a rainbow, you see all the colors. For them, they just see black and white, right? I'm just, obviously it's a metaphor. If they taste a fruit, they'll just taste maybe the sweetness of it or something like that. It's very, very bland. Their lives are very, very, very bland, right? There's very little meaning in it. And that's also for myself. When I realize in my relationships, it's like I have intense, far out dreams that really, really show me the nature of this reality to a certain degree and show me what's beyond this nature of this reality, right? The holographic nature, or whatever it is, of this world, of how unreal it is, so to speak, or how it's just a blink of an eye, how it's a charade. I'm saying not charade. It's like it's just this classroom, you know. That was this bird. It's just a classroom. It's not finite. It's infinite, but it's very short. It's very ephemeral. It's not. It's you know. It's yeah. I don't know. It's like a extra curriculum in a way, or something. I don't know if that's what I'm saying is right, but you know what? Well, maybe you know what I mean. And not, that's not to make light of it. It's deadly serious, of course. You know, just like the CV. And so, but it's not the be all and end all. You know, when you start every time I talk, when you start leaving Plato's cave, right, you realize that this is not the be all and end all. You realize the magnitude. You start realizing and appreciating how big this is. And so for myself, when I have deep synchronicities, when I have profound dreams, right, or deep meditations or something like that, and I want to share it with others in Plato's cave, it is so diluted, it is so watered down, it is so like, you know, and I just feel, and I've spoken about this before, but we really need to appreciate this, that we are coming from two different universes, completely two different universes, and that's why it makes us feel very lonely. We're coming from two different universes. And so it's frustrating because, like, instead of, I want to talk to you about the potential of soul activation, you know, and you wanted to talk about the conversation that Kim Kardashian had with her sister over what type of car they're going to get, and how you disagreed on Kim's choice or something like that, or just whatever it might be, you know, or something that, oh, well, you are into this BLM story, and now you want to discuss it and you want to fight with me about it because, you know, or because I'm just indifferent, you want me to take a side over it or something like that, or like you wanting me to wear a mask, but you know who I am, you know what I'm about, and you don't, you know, so it's like, okay, maybe that's something else, but you know, they don't realize your sensitivity and many other things. But it's just hard to relate. It's just hard to, you know, even have physical interaction, because I've had, you know, romantic, whatever, interaction, and with the other person, I just feel like it was just so physical. You know, sexual interaction, just so physical. It was just so, like, in the mind, it was just so much about pleasure. It's like, hello, I'm also here. Or what is this that we're experiencing? Or that we go into this really, you know, high space, you know, in a way. Time dissolves, you know, thoughts dissolve in a way, and you just go far out. You know, you just, whatever, in the moments together. You mold into one for that brief moment. And for them, it's just been like the physical, and I just feel like, again, I felt so disrespected. And things that I do really make me feel nauseous if I'm not respecting myself. And so one of the things is such a tricky one, I'm still learning this in regards to, again, relationships with people in Plato's cave. It's very, very, very difficult because, again, so much of who you are, you just feel is in vain. So much of who you are is not embodied by them, is not integrated into their lives by them. They're not influenced by you. And you think to yourself, wait a minute, surely you are, surely because of what I'm about, surely you'd take a page out of my book. But no, surely you'd be also, just as another human being in this deep mystery, surely you'd be interested in this thought that I have. You'd be like, tell me more. I want to hear more, you know? Please let me know more. And yet there's no inquiry, there's no interest, There's no curiosity. And so things, and so I've spoken about this ad nauseum, I suppose, but like Maury, one of the friend of the channel, she commented about the TV series The Good Place. So I've started watching it, and I don't know if I'd recommend it, but I'm going to give a bit of a spoiler alert here. But The Good Place is not the good place. The place is designed to be the good place, and I'll probably do a talk on this because I think it's very profound. But actually it's the bad place, and it's designed for the bad people to believe that they're in the good place, only that they can torture each other. Because what the bad place is really about is that people are tortured by demons and Satan and the devil and things like that. And this architect, Ted Danson, Michael is his name in the show, says, I've come up with a psychological plan. It won't be a physical torturing, but it will be a psychological plan where people will torture each other. And I thought, well, how fitting is that for planet Earth? And that's how they've made this world into the dark place, or the bad place, is because we torture each other. And some people are going to say I'm being negative now, I might get something in the comments section of I'm being negative, and I don't know what to do about that. I'm saying I don't know. I feel that I'm going to speak anyways, but it's I can't even say that this place potentially is we've made it into the bad place because it's being negative. I think it's just being so close-minded. I think it's just being so many other things, not just closed-minded, but in such denial. I just think it's such an unhealthy approach, and so dysfunctional in many, many ways, to take that approach. And I don't know, for whatever it's worth. Anyway, so that's my thing, is that we torture each other, and even though you can have left Platos Cave, you're still going to be tortured. Of course you're going to be tortured. But the thing is that, maybe torture is a bit of a hard word, but you're going to have challenges, and that's part of this existence. That's part of the journey. It's part of the adventures that we're going to have this. We're going to be met with this, because I think when it's over and we move on from this and it's a different kind of dimension and setup, it will be that served its purpose for what it needed to serve. It's grueling now, and it's heartbreaking now, and it's just so real now. But I think once we move on from this, it's not that intense. It's not as serious in a way that it is. It's not as compromising as it is. It's not as lonely, certainly, as it is. It's not you stand alone. Anyway, so that's kind of what I wanted to say, and about self-respect. There's much more I think I want to still make videos on in this regard of self-respect. Is that anyone who doesn't have an ounce of self-respect, which is what you see dime a dozen, does not know who they really are. It's impossible for them to know who they are on a divine level, on a soulful level. All right, folks, chat soon. Take care.